The $220 million hack on Cetus Protocol may actually have a silver lining. Now hear me out for a second. Obviously, if you haven't been sleeping under a log, you are probably aware that last week Cetus Protocol had their liquidity pools drained by a hack. 220 million lost. Well, 60 million was already transferred out into ethereum and is pretty much long gone. 160 million is frozen in place, I believe, and there's currently a proposal to transfer that into a wallet where it can be recovered. There's possibly a silver lining to this all, and while it sucks for all the users and hopefully it turns out best for everyone, there's still ways it could happen. What we have seen is that it has opened up some amazing conversations that absolutely need to happen around decentralization, what it is, as well as even what is a blockchain and how it should function. And you have varying opinions on what action should be taken, what action shouldn't be taken. And I'll say I'm kind of on the fence at this point, but one thing I keep going back to is, so we have this thing called consensus, and consensus is a mechanism that all blockchains have in order to come to a conclusion about something. Typically transactions, whether to allow them or not, push them through, if they're good, they're bad. And it's done in this decentralized manner, depending on the chain, more so than others, where validators vote to put a transaction in the blockchain. And it's technically decentralized because of the way it's handled. So it's had me thinking, should consensus allow other actions to be taken? And the reason why we saw with what Sui did in the blockchain is they utilized their consensus to block a wallet, to freeze a wallet. So whether or not you agree with that, and it's up to you to decide, but it was done through consensus, where greater than a third of the validators had to agree not to allow the transaction. So in a way, it was decentralized. Regardless of how you feel about Sui's current level of decentralization, it was done via consensus. So it makes you wonder, or at least it makes me wonder, what else should we allow consensus to handle? Should we trust consensus to handle stuff like that? Or protocol votes, such as whether to transfer funds from a wallet. Now, I understand why people are not a fan of this, because they believe a blockchain should be completely immutable, and I get it. I'm still on the fence about all this. But to play the other side of it, if consensus is used in order to reverse that, and it's done in a decentralized manner, then is that a bad thing? I don't know. Something we all have to think about at this point. But my biggest concern, I will say, is that it needs to be anonymous, because where I think we really run into issues, and my biggest fear for the space, why I originally got into Web3, was for it to be taken over and controlled. So if consensus is not anonymous and actors can be compromised, then it completely defeats the point. So it has to be anonymous. No KYC, none of that crap. Otherwise, I definitely can't see the point there. But again, consensus is decentralized. So should consensus be allowed to decide other actions rather than just to include a transaction or not? It's an interesting thought, interesting conversation. Anyways, that's my POG post-workout thought of the day. Take care.